what's up you guys, Aftershare Reacts here, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. So we just had the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover event, and basically I just got really lost reading all the comments and everything because I wasn't expecting there to be so many. So I've decided to make like a separate video where I read all the comments from all of the episodes of the crossover. Plus, I also wrote a post, asking what you guys, like, if you guys have any questions about, my thoughts and feelings and everything. So we're going to go through that as well. This is going to be a really long video, just FYI. I'm going to struggle to read, because that's what I do. I struggle. I hope you guys are here, you're ready, you got some snacks or something. It's really hot in here. What the hell? Maybe we should turn the fan on a bit more. I don't know. Yeah, so that was kind of a crazy week, wasn't it? Like, we did, oh gosh, how many was there? There was, let's see. In total there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16? Is that correct? I don't know. Hang on. 2 per day. 7 days a week. That would be 14. How did I, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. Fuck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, it is 14. I'm just really bad at counting. Welcome to me being terrible at everything. Alright, so that was like 14 reactions. Like, that was a lot, and on top of like just having a normal week of reactions as well. So that was kind of a crazy week, and I'm surprised that I didn't fall behind, not even a little bit. Usually I fall behind on things, so that was interesting to experience. How did you guys feel about it? I'm curious. Like, did you enjoy getting 2 reactions per day? Do you think it was overwhelming? Could have been overwhelming. That's fine, but I mean, like, the reactions are always going to be there, so like, you don't have to watch them on that specific week. You can watch them like 6 months from now, but I understand, maybe you want to be part of the conversation. So we're gonna go over the comments and everything from every single episode of the crossover. Oh god, if I did every single episode just in general of like the week. What were my overall thoughts before we go into it? My overall thoughts, I think the story, I was a little disappointed in the story, I think. I've skimmed over a couple of comments, and I feel like people have explained it pretty well, the way that I feel about it. I couldn't put it into words myself until I read some of the comments, so we'll go over those, and maybe it'll make more sense. I don't know. But the cameos, oh, that was just the fan service was amazing. Like, I'm not gonna try and like pretend like the fan service wasn't awesome, because it was. I just think that the story was lacking. Yeah. My favorite part is definitely the Batwoman episode. I mean, did you think it was going to be anything else? Anyways, so maybe I'll put like chapter thingies, chapter times below. But basically, we're going to go over the Black Lightning episode first, which is technically not part of the crossover, but it is kind of part of the crossover because it leads into the crossover. So, I'm going to include it. You got a problem? You can skip to the next part. Alright. So, Black Lightning, Season 3, Episode 9, Earth Crisis. So, we went overboard with the thumbnails. We don't normally do, like, GIF thumbnails or anything like that, but I went to bed. Oh my god, I'm just going. Someone said epic thumbnails, so I'm explaining where they came from. Yeah, so I went to bed and I woke up and Tony, who like helps me with like a lot of stuff and does like the website stuff, and it's awesome. Anyways, he was updating the page where it says new, like new content on the website. In case you didn't know, I have a website, aftershowreactions.com. Check it out. Anyways, and he got really bored and just like added like a little bit of a border around the image, and it was a GIF, and I was like, oh, that's cool. You know what would be really cool though? Like, cause he extrifies things, and then I get stupid ideas to make it even more extra, and then he goes, I don't think I can do that, and then he tries to do it, and it comes out amazing. Anyways, and I was like, wouldn't it be better if it was like the Crisis of like the worlds of, because like we saw Earth 2 get removed, right? And at that point, like that's what it looked like, you know? And he goes, I don't know if I could do that. I was like, well, that's fine. I was just, you know, spitballing. Anyways, a couple hours later, he had done it. And I was like, cool. We're going to do this with thumbnails too. So yeah, that's what makes it extra special. I'm glad that you guys, well, maybe some of you guys enjoyed them. I don't know. Oh man, that's so cool. So fancy. I'm guessing that's all about the thumbnails. I stopped watching Black Lightning in the middle of season 2, but when you caught up, I started watching your reactions. But this is the first episode I watched before you reacted to it. I was intrigued by the name Earth Crisis. I liked it since it had parallel universe stuff, but I agree that it felt weird by them using Earth 1 and Earth 2. I too thought first, is that how you spell Jennifer's name? Before I realized that it was a different spelling in different Earths. Yeah, that was kind of strange. I feel like maybe the Black Lightning writers didn't really know much about, you know, the way that the parallel universes and all that kind of stuff work in the Arrowverse. And so they thought that everything was different, including spellings of names. I mean, at some point, how are you going to spell Jen on Earth 52? Come up with 52 versions of the name Jen, and we'll talk. The CW was trying to keep Black Lightning being in Crisis under wraps. Now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure we didn't even know he was in the Arrowverse back then. This episode was first called Third Stone from the Sun. Interesting title, to keep it hidden. I guess I can see why the writers were not informed about Earth 2 being gone, though continuity errors are still annoying, plus Earth 1 Jefferson was making Christmas preparations even though the other Earth 1 shows didn't mention the crisis happening around that time. So that's another error. I think they did mention that the specific date. Maybe it was on the Flash? I mean, they had a news article, so of course they mentioned what date it was. So I think that's a bit wrong, but I do agree that they weren't like preparing for Christmas and all that kind of stuff. Like Black Lightning was for some reason. And we got some comments there. I believe Crisis happens on December 10th, 2019. So it does happen somewhat near Christmas. It's on the newspaper of the Flash, yes. Fair enough. Still think it's slightly too soon for Christmas decorations. My family typically puts up Christmas tree during Thanksgiving week, but the rest of the decorations go up a week or two before Christmas. I like the idea of Christmas decorations, but like also I hate them. I don't like putting them away, so I'd rather just not do them, to be honest. I celebrate Christmas. I celebrate neither Christmas or Thanksgiving, so I have no frame of reference as to when people typically do that stuff. Well, good to know. The thumbnails are absolutely amazing. Well, I'm glad that you like them. Yeah, I like them. I think maybe they're a little laggy when like loading the website or something like that, but like it's just a one-time thing, so. I'm convinced that those aren't actually Jen's doppelgangers from Earth 1 and Earth 2, as Jen is not from Earth 1 and Jin is not from Earth 2. The 1 and 2 numbers are just used to show that they are ultimate different Earths, to use a possible outcome for Jen's choices. I mean, possibly. You could think of it that way. I think that it probably is Earth 1 and Earth 2, like, proper. But if you just think of it in a different context, you could think of it that way and you could pretend it's not a plot hole, I think. The writers' room should have called up Greg Berlanti or whomever is in charge of that stuff in their WBTV offices and just asked to be coordinated. Yeah. I think Guggenheim was show running the whole crossover, so they should have just asked him. They would have just given Earths 44 and 55 or something like that. Using Earth 1 and Earth 2 is confusing as fuck. Exactly. But evil Jin, she was awesome. I am the authority. She and Painkiller would have made a fine baddie power couple. Maybe. I don't know, I feel like it could have gotten annoying very quickly, maybe. I don't know. Black Lightning has a decent size of its fan base that doesn't watch the rest of the Arrowverse. Those fans wouldn't know much about the multiverse, so they decided to simplify it and just number them 1 and 2. The show Black Lightning exists on Earth 73. Why 73? Curious. Also, can I just point something out? Do you remember when the Flash was like, there's only 52 Earths, there's no more, only 52, and then when Crisis on Earth X came up and it was like, there is one other Earth and it's called Earth X, and now there's like infinite Earths. Like, when did this happen exactly? When did they like come across this information? I'm curious. Anyways, that was the end of Black Lightning. We'll go to Supergirl, Season 5, Episode 9, Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 1. Prediction. She's gonna be pissed. We'll see after. Spoilers for the reaction. Not pissed, but confusion. Yes. I'm mainly confused about the fact that, you know, it's Oliver Queen's show. Like, I still got an episode to watch today. I'm very confused. The first guy was Robert Wu, who played the reporter in 1989 Batman movie starring Michael Keaton. Wow, was he a big character in Batman 1989? I've seen it. Yeah, but is he like a big character? Because that seems like such a random, like, we'll just grab this random extra from the movie and bring it in here as like a little Easter egg. Like, it's not an extra, but like, you know, I don't know. He was a reporter working for King Basinger's Vicky Vale. His character name was Alexandra Knox. Man, I gotta rewatch Batman 1989 apparently. The Titans cameo was stock footage from season 2, treated with a red filter and a flash of light to give the appearance of antimatter wave. Okay. Please start reacting to season 3 as soon as you can. I will be. I have it set to, there is no promises, but I have it set to start reacting to it next week. No promises. Just saying. Character of Ryan Choi, played in the crossover by Kevin from Supernatural, was in the Snyder Cut. Yes, I recall this now. I was told about this, yes. He was a scientist working for Cyborg's dad. You're looking at the hottest thing on Earth. Exact words I said to my prom date. She dumped me anyway. Alright. When Lena did the whole don't mistake this for friendship to Alex, I halfway expected her to say, "This doesn't change anything, Hoss." Like Renee randomly repeating in Arrow Season 6. It doesn't feel like she would be this petty, especially since they're working on something important. Then she just throws in the, "Hey, by the way, I still hate you, lol." I don't think it fits her character. I mean, I guess. Yeah, I guess. It's still kind of all fresh for her, so I don't know. Also, yes, Oliver's death didn't seem as emotional as it could have been, or should have been. I wonder why that is. I'm guessing because he comes back and dies again. I don't know. I don't understand what happened, to be honest. I was so done with Lena and her entitlement by this point that I not only expected it, I was actually sure she would come up with some BS comment, so I wasn't surprised in the least. The music in this episode was so good. I did notice that it was a different, soundtrack. I really liked the scene with Oliver and Monitor. They showed how Oliver is capable to do something against someone like the Monitor, even without powers. I think that was basically mostly due to the fact that, he spent, the whole first half of the season, working on a way to kind of take down the Monitor, just in case. A very Batman-y thing to do, in a sense, I guess. Yeah, that was Knox from 1989, Tim Burton Batman. At least you recognize Burt Ward from the old Batman show. Yes, that was cool. I'm guessing that's why Batman 1966 was requested for me to react to. That was a lot of fun to react to, by the way. If you're looking for something to do tonight, that is, well, to be honest, you're probably going to be watching the rest of the Arrowverse tonight. Look, if you're looking for a fun time at some point during the week and you're bored, check out my reaction to Batman 1966. You will not regret it. It was a lot of fun. I think the death was mainly meant to set the stakes because you would never see it coming, but a lot of reactors at the time were also confused. Yeah, they said at the time they knew they couldn't surprise anyone that Oliver was dying because they had already said it was happening. But they knew they could surprise people with when he died. Nobody expected him to die in the first episode, etc. I mean, they could have just not killed him. But I mean, I set stakes, I guess. You're right. I don't know if you managed to see the entire newspaper. You tried to read it, but it said Batman captures Joker. And yeah, you have been preparing more than you know for this crisis. It's fun when stuff like Titans shows up, so lucky you've been watching that. Yeah. Although it was fun that you maybe were a bit afraid of Titans spoilers. Which brings me to, except for Lost, has there been any time when a show has spoiled another show that you were reacting to? Nothing that I've been reacting to, but I have noticed that, a lot of TV shows mention stuff about Game of Thrones, And that's something that that it's kind of like, if I hadn't seen Game of Thrones, it's like, well, you've just spoiled that for me. But I don't think I've been spoiled through another show. I don't know. What about you guys? I'm curious. Imagine if Adam West was still alive, he could have been along Bert in that cameo. Yeah. You know, I think he would have done it too. I think he would have done it. Yes, it's nice to see some legends again after not seeing them for so long. Yes, oh my god, I'm so excited to start Legends. It's been so long. Oh. I liked this episode. The only thing that bugs me to no end is the stupid fucking retcon that Legends in Season 1, in episode Star City 2046, they didn't travel through time, but they traveled to Earth 16. That doesn't make any sense. Wave Rider's capability to travel between Earths was never mentioned. And if they did somehow by accident, how the fuck did they return to Earth 1 by accident in the next episode? Stupid. And why even say that in that episode? Only to bug me, apparently. Is that what she said? When she was talking, when they were talking about it? Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, they could have just had, like, that be its own standalone thing. I mean, the time's changed so much since then anyways. So, of course, it'd be different. Why would you put those two things together? I don't know. You're right. That is a little annoying. But the episode is good. I actually liked how they swerved me with Ollie's death in the first episode. His last words were, "I love you, Mia. You keep me in your heart, okay?" Oh, really? It's actually a lot easier to let the emotions get to you because you know what's happening. And you're not shocked by the events. I'm not crying, you're crying. Actually, I didn't cry. Maybe I cried in the last one. I don't know. I still just, it still baffles me. Like, I just don't feel like it's real. I don't know. In my opinion, I don't like how they handled Oliver's death. Alright? For one, Oliver was killed off screen. Yeah? I think it's kind of disrespectful for his character. But then, the only thing that annoys me is because it wasn't like he was fighting the Anti-Monitor, he was fighting the Acolytes, which are one-hits. I mean, Oliver has faced worse Acolytes, like the Mirakuru soldiers. Really didn't care much for the 2046 storyline. I found it pointless and not really needed, and the only thing it did was pull two of our best fighters, Sarah and Brody, from the fight. I also wasn't a fan of the fact that the Monitor just kept teleporting people back. Like, to be fair, like, it's not like the world had, like, I don't know, like, in the episode where we lost Earth 2, right? The wave, the antimatter wave came through, right? And they got out by the skin of their teeth, you know? Here, it didn't even look like the antimatter wave was coming. They had plenty of time to help other people. So what do? You take away, like, Supergirl and Superman, like, you teleport them back to Earth 1, or I think that's where they went. I don't know. You teleport them away. I'm like, those are potential humans that they could be saving. You know? Like, you teleported them away way too early, and then left Oliver by himself to get killed for some reason. You're right, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. I feel like they had more time. You know? And I really loved Melissa Benoist's acting in this one. I think she did it really well. All in all, I think this was a first a good first episode into the crisis. Yo, Fruits, just here to cheer you on while you're doing a readathon. Read-a-ton. Okay. Right. Hilarious. Whoop whoop. Alright. Well, that was a Supergirl episode. Pretty good. And then I watched the next episode, which was the Batwoman episode, which I found interesting. Like, I'm curious if they added those 2 cameos to Batwoman because Batwoman was the new show and they wanted to create hype and have people watch that specific show and like fall in love with the characters or whatever. Like, I was wondering if like it was kind of like to boost that show's ratings, maybe. Because I've heard that a lot of people hate the show for various reasons. I don't agree with any of those reasons right as of yet. I'm enjoying the show. But it made me curious whether or not that's why they added those cameos to that specific episode. Or was it just because, like, Batman, Batwoman? Anyways. I posted I made a post after I had finished episode 9, because that's I watched the things that broke me. And people were like, I have 2 guesses of what happened, and basically I said, I am now dead, thank you very much. I'm not really dead, but I have had an out-of-body experience, and if you know what I'm talking about, then you know. And there we go. Hey, I know. I have 2 guesses in which scene it happened at. Please tell me she recognized Kevin Conroy from the Batman animated series, to which I had a little bit of a funny conversation, claiming that I didn't know who that was. I did. I know who Kevin Conroy is. I just was being a little funny. I think I know what you mean. Specifically, I can't wait after Elseworlds. Yeah, you guys remember how I got clickbaited? Yep. Oh, I know. Oh, girl, this ride has just begun. It was a lot of fun. I know exactly what you mean, and I've been waiting so long for you to get there. I'm proud of this community for not spoiling you. I'm really glad too, because that could have been worse. Could you imagine? Oh gosh. Post it now. People really want me to post it. So head forward and warning for this episode tomorrow for a specific part. Check. Yeah, there was probably a head. I did actually warn people in the post. It was kind of at the bottom though. Probably should put it at the top. Alright, going into Batwoman Season 1, Episode 9, Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 2. I said on yesterday's post, but it bears repeating, that I am proud of this community for not spoiling you on the various cameos. Lots of that is thanks to the moderator team. Yes, apparently there's been like a lot of spoilers showing up on YouTube in regards to, I don't know, I think it was like, because just a couple weeks ago is when I posted Elseworlds, and there was a lot of spoilers apparently, so I couldn't look at those. I couldn't look at the comments for like a couple of days or something ridiculous. But yeah, I'm thankful that I have amazing mods that, you know, look out for these things, because otherwise, you know, the reaction would not be as it is. Kevin said yes to playing Batman in live action because he never played a version who had fallen off the deep end and forfeit his morality. Plus, I mean, he hasn't played him, like, in live action, so that's awesome. Also, like, can we, like, get rid of Jorah Mormont from, like, Titans and then, like, replace him with Kevin Conroy? Because, like, I believe even the way that Kevin Conroy looks, I believe that he's Batman. I don't believe Jorah is fucking Batman. Why didn't they just have Kevin Conroy show up as Batman? Or as Bruce? I don't care. Like, best fan service episode ever. You're not wrong. Shan, he wasn't pushed into the control panel. It was an electrical transformer. I mean, that, and he was a broken down version of Bruce. It makes sense that he wouldn't be able to put up a fight. I don't know, it still just feels really janky, like this is his Batcave, right? And like he just gets thrown into like a transformer and dies. I don't know. It just seemed very, very silly. You should definitely sell shirts with "I'm fine" on it. Maybe. How I've been waiting for this. I don't even watch the Arrowverse. Really? I must say, not disappointed. Well, if you don't watch the Arrowverse, then why were you excited about this? I'm curious. I don't know. You really weren't lying when you said that you were deceased. Yes. You know, I was actually really embarrassed about my reaction at the end. Like, I was uploading it and I realized how excited I was. Like, I felt like I was over the top. Like, look, there's always this thing in the back of my mind, like, after I finish reacting to, like, an episode or something, if I get too excited about something, or if I'm not sad about something that, you know, other people have cried at in an episode, you know, if I don't have the same reaction to you guys, and I need to, like, understand that, you know, it's just not possible. I react how I react to an episode. And so I always have this thing in the back of my mind where it's like, oh my god, are people going to think that I'm overreacting? Like I'm putting something on? Like I'm excited, but are people going to think that I'm going at a 15 when really it should be a 10? You know, I always have that in the back of my mind, and then the end of the episode, when I was uploading it, I was like, oh my god, people are going to think that I'm, like, overdoing it, you know? Which, I mean, I don't think I was. I was just so excited. Like, I couldn't express my excitement very well, and I don't really get that excited about things, ever. But yeah, I don't know. It's the same with, like, if there's a really sad episode and I don't cry in it, I think to myself, are people gonna, like, think I'm heartless? Like, I don't know. It's just, I just gotta understand that everyone's experience watching a show is different, and I don't know, like, whatever. Let's move on. This is one of the most fulfilling fan service episodes of anything ever made. I agree. Her face during Smallville reveal, her face froze during the Smallville reveal, and I got goosebumps like I did watching it air. Definitely top episodes in the Arrowverse for fan service alone. What? There you go. There's my reason for doing reaction videos in a nutshell. You can only watch an episode of a show once. You can only watch a show once. And you can never experience that feeling again. But you can live vicariously through other people watching, and it feels like you're watching it again for the first time. I'm glad that I could give it... I'm glad that I could make you feel like it was the first time again. Moving on. Many people hated this Batman because he was more evil. But don't forget, anything is possible in infinite universes. Yep, absolutely. Also, just like Injustice, but with Batman instead of Superman, which is cool. Also, the Superman Returns world is also like the Injustice, but he didn't become evil. And before the crossover came out, I have heard that Mark Hamill would be in this as Joker. I don't know, maybe fake rumors or something, but that would have been so cool. I think that it's definitely, like, I think that we should have Mark Hamill play a live action Joker at some point, somehow, because he's so good. I guess the closest that we've come to is him playing the Trickster, which we haven't seen in, like, a while, so that'd be nice to see again. Honestly, it's ridiculous thinking, because in the comics, there's more evil Batman in the multiverse than there are evil Supermen. And not even counting the whole dark death metal thing. Personally, my problem was the ridiculous way they killed him, but I never had a problem with him being evil. I agree. Who's Tom Welling? I don't see anyone by that name here. Why are you freaking out so much? So this would be like, what, 600th time that Clark has had his power stripped from him? Yeah. I was hoping that this would make up for Elseworlds seeming like it was trolling you. I guess I was right. I was expecting you to scream right away when you saw Clark, but I suppose this frozen, speechless reaction was much more satisfying. Yeah, this happens sometimes when I'm just like, when I'm like really shocked. Like, my brain doesn't work like a normal brain. Things don't immediately register in my head, and so I see what happened was I saw Tom Welling. No, what happened was I saw a poster, I think, and then I was like, oh, like, okay, like I was just trying to figure out what the poster was about, and then it pans around to like the Kent farm, and I'm like the cogs are very slowly turning, right? And then I see fucking Tom Welling cutting fucking thing, and I malfunctioned. Like, I needed a reboot. That's how my brain works. I don't know, man. It's just like, I don't know. It was not something that I was ever expecting. Mostly because of the fact that, like, I don't know, growing up since finishing Smallville, I feel like Tom Welling was trying to get really far away from Smallville, right? And to me, my interpretation of that was that he really didn't like the role of Clark Kent. I didn't understand that, you know, he just wanted to get work, try new things. And that's amazing. Good for him. But in my, like, developing mind, I thought that meant that he hated his role. And so he didn't want to do anything Superman related ever again. And so when he didn't, like, when that Elseworlds thing happened, I was like, no fucking way. Like, absolutely no fucking way. I don't believe this because of what I previously just said, right? And then he didn't show up, and that kind of, like, solidified and confirmed in my head that would never happen. And so that's why it just didn't register in my head that would ever happen, you know? Anyways. I personally hated that Clark gave up his superpowers. We had, like, 10 years of him coming to terms with his powers and his destiny, and he gave them up. It honestly feels like those 10 years were for nothing. I agree to an extent. As a viewer, who watched the show as it aired and as it ended, it is frustrating. Because all you ever wanted to do was see him, you know, be Superman. I think the thing is, we have to understand that the show ended a while ago. We don't know how much time has passed from the moment the show ended and the moment that we see in the Crisis on Infinite Earths. You could assume that, okay, so it's like they've got like a little toy. Maybe a 3 or 4 year old would play it with a toy like that. I don't really know. So that's at least 4 years. That's 4 years of him maybe not having his powers. Or maybe he recently gave them up. But maybe it's been 4 years, okay? So that's... In real life time, it's been 10 years since the show ended. So it could be 10 years. So maybe he was Superman for like a whole bunch of years. And then, you know, Lois got pregnant and then he was like, okay, I'm going to give up my powers. Like, whatevs. But it is kind of sad to think that, like, in this universe, we also have Tyler Hoechlin. Hoechlin? I'm sorry. His version, and he also has a child. Well, 2 now, apparently. And he's still Superman. Like, he hasn't given up his powers. So that's a little disappointing when you think about it. Like, why does this Clark give up his powers? But, I mean, out of all of the Supermen, like, they were all Superman. This is just the one extent that he'd given up his powers. Is it disappointing as a viewer that loved the show? Absolutely! I wanted to see Tom Welling in a suit. That'd be awesome. But we don't know how much time's been. Like, maybe he was Superman for, like, a really long time. Maybe he was Superman for, like, 15 years. And then they settled down. We don't know, because we didn't see. Even worse, the producers said they were going to take the Smallville comics into account. And in those, he came to love being Superman and everything that comes with it. And he just gives up his powers. And while Lex is president, yeah, right. Yeah. It did seem kind of strange. He was like, Lex, as in the president, like as though they had never met. Kind of strange. I love that we hear Kevin Conroy's voice before we see him. That's a really nice touch. The exoskeleton is a reference to the Kingdom Come comics. Brandon's Superman here is also one from Kingdom Come. Also, your Batman and your Superman in the same episode despite not even being in the same universe is so cool. I'm with you. Anything... Oh, I just spat. Oh, that's great. Anything can and could have happened in the time before and after that scene that could explain away all of your problems, to be fair. Like, maybe Lex is a good guy now. I mean, that doesn't fit continuity, to be honest, because Lex is meant to be a villain, but I don't know. What do you suppose Clark's daughters are named? Martha? Lara? Chloe? Ooh. Lana? Lucy? You don't think he would name one of his girls Alicia or Tess, do you? Or Alexandra? Hell, maybe he had one named Ryan. That can be a girl's name too. It's an interesting thought. I don't think he would name child Lana, because that would be kind of awkward. Because Lois, I don't know, like, naming it after an ex-girlfriend is it's a bit odd. I wouldn't name it Chloe, because Chloe in this world would be still alive. So what would be probably, we assume. Maybe like Lara, maybe. After his, like, biological mother. It'd probably be like Lara, Martha, Kent. Something like that. And then I think they'd come up with, like, another name for it. Like, just a random name, probably. I don't know. Just something to think about. They made it way too easy for Lois and Iris to take out Lex and take the book from him. Seriously, while the Superman were duking it out, he just stood there like an idiot and somehow let Lois knock him out from behind. Weren't she and Iris right in front of him? Some evil genius. Yeah. Someday I'd like to see a live action world where the super family that went crazy and Batman was the one who remained honorable and virtuous. Isn't that what happened in Injustice, though? I don't remember. I haven't played in a while. The Injustice video game is where Joker used Scarecrow toxin to trick Superman into thinking a pregnant Lois was Doomsday and then killing her. Joker was linked to Lois's life to a nuclear bomb that destroyed Metropolis. After that, Superman went crazy, killed Joker, and created a totalitarian regime of police the entire world while Batman led the resistance against him. Well, there you go. He was good. I don't understand why the actor of Jonah Hex keeps coming back. Whenever he shows up, they never give him anything good to do. I agree. I don't really get it, to be honest, because it's a paycheck. No judgment here. Your unabashed excitement is one of the reasons why we love you. Oh, okay. Okay. Gosh, we're only on part 2, and we're like 47 minutes into this shit. I hope you guys are comfortable. You shouldn't be embarrassed. Everything you felt while watching this is what we wanted to see. This is what we've been waiting for ever since Crisis aired. We knew you'd freak out, and we are all here for it. Don't ever stop being you, Shan. I'm curious, when this was airing, where was I in the Arrowverse? How far did I have to go to get here? Yes, so true. I've been waiting for this reaction for so long, and you did not disappoint with that. Tom Welling was almost Superman in Superman Returns. It just never happened. Really? Okay. Like people mentioned above, a lot of inspiration from Kingdom Come, since you seemed confused by Brandon's suit when he changed. Okay. Shan's response to seeing Tom Welling in Smallville was worth 167 times the price of admission. Well, thank you. I hope you enjoyed. I wasn't sure if you knew what Catherine Conroy looked like. I suppose the voice would have been a dead giveaway anyway. Reactions exceeded my expectations. Damn straight. He is the voice of Batman. I mean, no disrespect to Jason O'Mara, Bruce Greenwood, Troy Baker, Will Arnett, Deirdre Bader, Reno Romano, or any of them. But there really is no competition. I agree. Rosenbaum was asked to be in the crossover, but he turned them down. Why would you do that? Why? Why would you do that? He gave an explanation somewhere, I think on his podcast. Basically, he said the studio was very cagey about what his scenes would be before he signed the contract. I mean, I get it, but like, also, wouldn't you just talk to Tom and then be like, should I do this? I got contacted about this. So you doing this? Yeah, okay, I'll do this too. I'm just saying. Here's more Superman trivia. Since 2001, all of the Superman actors have been connected in some way. It's crazy. Ryan and Ralph lost out to Smallville to Tom Welling. Okay. Both Ruth and Cavill, I think, auditioned for J.J. Abrams' cancelled Superman film. Ruth eventually got Ruth, I don't know why. I don't know. Yeah. Superman Returns. Cavill got Man of Steel. Tyler Hoechlin, Arrowverse Superman, auditioned for Man of Steel but didn't get it. Whoa, so many full circle moments. Imagine being able to audition for Superman just like multiple times. And then like one of the times you get it, you're like, I've been trying this for 12 years. This episode was great, but I really hate their excuses for not having certain characters in an episode. I understand. Reality, they have budgets and that, but they could at least come up with a decent excuse. I mean, Sarah literally said the Legends aren't coming because she promised them they didn't need to do another crossover. The entire multiverse is being wiped out. Who the fuck cares about your promises? I agree. I 100% agree. They did that for like a joke because like they like to make the like fourth wall joke things. I don't know. It's weird to me. It takes me out of the show. But like, agreed. The fucking world is ending. Priorities. That's my only complaint, but overall it was a good episode. I stopped watching Arrowverse ages ago, but I had to watch this reaction for that scene, and must say your reaction did not disappoint. And yeah, I get it. If I got a new scene from my favorite show 10 years later, I would probably react like you as well. Yay, fruits go! I believe in you! Waves tiny fruits flag. Okay. I've seen Men of Steel die and The Dark Knight fall. Rip Hunter would be cool if they had Rip from the past when he was working alone. Because in season 1 he said he saw Batman and Superman dead, which happened in this crossover. Because otherwise he saw Earth 1 Superman and Batman die. But yeah, that timeline changed like 100 times, so probably wouldn't happen anymore. Rip's line was actually, I've seen Men of Steel die and Dark Knights fall, meaning more than one of each. Smallville is so much better than the Arrowverse, it's not even close. Well, I mean, it's a preference thing, I think. I think there's more to love in the Arrowverse, but my heart and soul will always belong to Smallville. What can I say? Never ever be embarrassed or apologize for the very things that make us all love you. Your excitement at each reveal was pure joy, and it was wonderful. I'm glad Kevin Conroy's scene was before Tom Welling's, because it probably would have been less than what it was. It kind of hurt my soul a little that Tom Welling's appearance made you say fuck that shit about Conroy's. Oh well, I totally understand your love for Smallville. I love it too. I just love the DC animated universe more. Your reaction to Tom was beautiful. Thank you. Alright, we're finally done with part 2. We still got 3 parts to go. And a Q&A. Alright. I'm gonna take a minute. Alright. Back to reading comments. Right, we're up to part 3. This is The Flash, Season 6, Episode 9, titled Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 3. If there was ever a reason for Lucifer to show up in the Arrowverse, of course it's because of John Constantine. Because John Constantine knows him. Yes, I agree. I think the rules are completely different, though, to the TV show Lucifer. But it was still really cool to see Tom Ellis. Especially since I recently finished Lucifer. And I don't know, it was just nice to see him again. I don't know. I always rewatch a show from the start. I've rewatched Smallville twice, Farscape about 4 to 5 times, lost count, Veronica Mars 3 times, and a couple of others at least twice. See, that's the thing. You've only watched Smallville twice. Try rewatching it a ton of times, and then you just don't want to watch the early seasons. Ryan Choi was in Snyder Justice League, and Nora said Ryan Choi made the Season 5 Flash suit. Oh yeah, that's true. It's really sad how 90s Flash died. His world got destroyed because of the Monitor, and now he died. It's like his whole show is gone. Yeah. Also, the newspaper said Barry and Thorne vanished in a fight, but they probably changed the vanishing part to dying. I really want to know where Barry and Thorne would have vanished to. They would have become the lightning that struck themselves. I'm going to keep mentioning that until it happens on the show. I am self-actualizing that. Maybe Thorne would have travelled back in time to kill Barry, and that's where Barry saved himself, but after that, Barry can't go back to the future like Thorne or something. I don't know. But in an Invasion crossover, the Legends also mentioned Barry's message from 40 years in the future, so the writers probably didn't plan to kill him in Crisis. He was really just supposed to vanish. I'm a little sad, though, that we didn't get to see Reverse Flash, but I guess we got to see him last crossover. I don't know. It's just, like, it's sad that we didn't get him because, like, that's what the original article was talking about. Anyways. I love how Jim Corrigan said, I'm also someone else. I'm something else. Like Oliver always said in his show. Yes, I agree. I noticed that. And in the last Arrow episodes before Crisis, he said in the beginning, I was always the Green Arrow, but for Crisis I have to become someone else. I have to become something else. That's probably what he meant. Since this episode, I hate Lex. We got Superman from Superman Returns as Kingdom Come Superman. Who thought it was a good idea to have Lex instead of Superman? I thought it was funny. By the way, there's a deleted scene which is just a minute long, but still cool, which takes place after the 3rd part. Alright. Maybe I'll check that out at some point. I don't know. I remember how annoyed people were at the end of the episode when Brandon's Superman basically got deleted by Lex. Myself, and on the other hand, found it hilarious. Because it's the most Lex Luthor thing that possibly could have happened. I agree, but the thing is, why was Lex needed? All he did was cause chaos and then turned himself into one of the Paragons. Like, why was he needed? Like, it was, don't get me wrong, it was great, it was funny, I loved it, right? But why was he needed? Why did the Monitor bring him back? It was said too by Tom Ellis, who plays Lucifer, that they were playing his cameo as if it all takes place 5 years before the start of Lucifer, which is why it feels the way he does in the scene, because he hasn't met Chloe yet. Right. See, even the Monitor agrees that Cisco getting rid of his powers is a crappy decision. Is that something that's going to continue on? Like, is he going to keep his powers? Or did he disappear? After the Smallville Clark cameo, your reaction to the Lucifer appearance was one that I was really looking forward to. I wondered if it was going to confuse you. I wasn't sure if you were aware that Lucifer Morningstar was a DC comic character. Yes, I do know that. Then again, I'm not sure I did before this, actually. But, of course, it's cool and makes so much sense that he would exist in the universe that Constantine would be the one to know him. Kind of makes you wish for a show or at least a TV special about the two of them. Maybe. I do remember, like, the Constantine TV show, and, like, he had, like, an angel that was kind of, like, helping him out, kind of, maybe. I don't know exactly. But I do recall thinking that he was a lot like a Menadil. I think. Was that around the same time? I don't remember. Maybe I'm just making that up now. I got a lot of problems with Supergirl and Batwoman shows, but I will admit this is probably the best live-action representation of Batman and Superman relationship that I've seen, even if it's not technically Batman and Superman. One day, I hope we get to see it fully realized in live action. I agree. I really like Kara and Kate. I think it's very, very good. We need more of that. There aren't many shows that I've seen in entirety from beginning to end or ever rewatched any of them. There's probably some seasons or episodes that I like to skip over, even if a show itself wasn't very long. I felt like it was way too easy for them to restore Oliver's memories. I agree. I'm sure I'm not alone, but I guess they had to keep the plot moving. Still, could have and should have been done better. Yeah, I kind of agree. I get why they did it. They needed to solve it really quickly so they could go to Oliver becoming something else. At the same time, it's like, if you were just going to solve it right away, why even have it in the first place? Why not just have Oliver attack them and immediately be like, oh, it's you? I don't like that they just used a Lazarus pit. What about Laurel? I don't know. I feel like the whole idea of Oliver being thrown into a Lazarus pit is just really contradictory to his series as a whole. Why couldn't we do this for Laurel? I'll tell you why. 1, the writers hated her. 2, the in-universe reason is that the Lazarus pit screws you up. Alright? So why would Sarah, who has experienced it fucking you up, do that to Oliver? Like, I just can't see in any shape or form why she would agree to do that. That's what I don't like. I really don't like that. I mean, Kate found kryptonite after just killing her cousin from an alternate universe to protect Kara, and kept the secret for, 20 minutes before she came clean with Kara unprompted. She didn't even use it during her argument with Kara about using the Book of Destiny when Kara's sanity or fate of the universe was at stake, while Lena went out of her way to manufacture kryptonite. And we all know that if it was Lena on the Wave Rider, she would have used that kryptonite on Supergirl to stop her 20 seconds into the conversation. Maybe. Sure, she would believe that she was doing it for the right reason, and that it was to protect Supergirl from going mad, but Kate managed to talk her down without resorting to poisoning her friend. Kara can trust Kate because she knows Kate will always be truthful with her, perhaps brutally so, which is why she's fine with Batwoman keeping the kryptonite, just in case. But also knowing Kate probably would never use it against her anyway. Not like Lena. I like Lena, I really do, but she's her own worst enemy. I feel like you've made some solid points there. This scene of Lucifer takes place 5 years before the episode, so Constantine time traveled years into the past. I mean, not necessarily. Maybe Lucifer takes place in the future in the Arrowverse. This episode aired before Lucifer season 5 with Michael, best antagonist of Lucifer, by the way. I thoroughly disagree. I thought it was cringy as hell. Like, really cringy. But we all have our opinions. So when they confirmed Lucifer lives on Earth 666 in the Arrowverse, I was so hoping we were going to see Constantine appear in season 5 or season 6 of Lucifer. Would have been great. He didn't necessarily time travel to the past. Time on Earths don't need to be in sync together. Earth 666 might just happen to run 5 years behind. Well, 5 years before the first episode would have been when he just got to LA. I really want to know what Constantine did for Maze, because he said this is for Maze because you helped Maze or something. Really want to know. What was that about? I need to know. I wish the Paragons had all been from different Earths. That way we could have had more heroes that either aren't in the Arrowverse or doppelgangers of existing characters. All the Paragons were either from Earth 1 or Earth 38. Except for Brandon Routh's Superman, who ends up getting replaced by Lex. However, I did think what Lex did was hilarious and very in character. Of course, Lex would use the Book of Destiny to make him a Paragon in order to survive. And of course, out of all of the 7 Paragons, he would choose to replace Superman. Yes, I agree. I thought that was great. If this crossover had the HBO aided budget like Superman, Lois, and Stargirl got, then that might have been possible. The cameos, they spent a lot of their budget, and that's why the fight scenes were subdued in a way. The way they were, they simply didn't have the money to do more, which is sad. Just wanted to let you know that a lot of people were complaining that Ruby was really stiff in her Batwoman costume and gave her a ton of shit for it and bad acting, but what people didn't know is she broke her neck. Oh. That's awful. And had surgery and literally went back to work 5 days later. What the heck? Why? I mean, she's a main character. I feel like you should stall filming for that. That's awful. Or they were going to fire her, which is badass and insane. So remember when judging Ruby. Just FYI, loving all your reactions and freakouts during Crisis. I'm glad that you're enjoying them. That's awful that that's happened to her. So what's Ruby's excuse for all the other shows she's been shit in? I'd say this, being 100% on her side in this situation, doesn't make her a good actress. It's her opinion, not mine. I didn't say anything in my comment to suggest it was your opinion. Pretty sure the firing thing was bullshit given laws and unions. I guess we'll never know. You're halfway now. Remember to stay hydrated, Fritz. Tosses the Pepsi and a straw taped to it. God damn, don't tape a straw to the Pepsi. Ugh. Yikes. Alright. Oh my god, okay. I'm gonna take another break. Alright, let's go over the comments for Season 8, Episode 8 of Arrow, titled Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 4. In the beginning, they showed what happened before, because after the first 3 episodes, there was a break for some months before the last 2 episodes came out. Oh. It's actually like Infinity War and Endgame. There was a break between the 2 parts, and in the first part, the villain achieved their goal, and the next part, they were trying to reverse it and we see some stuff from the past. Sorry, just give me a second. I just went downstairs. I just came back upstairs. I'm really unfit. Also, many people hate Nash because he set the anti-monitor free, but I think it's the monitor's fault that he is free and that Oliver died. The anti-monitor was trapped and the monitor knew he is there, so why didn't he stop Nash? He knew a crisis was coming, so why didn't he do anything? Also, if Elseworlds never happened, which he caused, Oliver wouldn't have had to save Barry and Kara by giving his life. You're not wrong. When I watched this episode, I really thought for a second I'm watching some fan-made stuff on YouTube because I couldn't believe they even got Justice League Flash. By the way, if I remember right, they didn't even ask for Ezra Miller. I think they were asked if they could they asked if they could use him. They probably had some ideas for the Flash movie at the time and want to use this scene for the movie. That's probably why they changed that's probably why the camera changed, and that's why Reverse Flash wasn't in the crossover. Okay. Because they changed the last story last second. Also, Justice League Flash was never called The Flash, so that's how he gets his name, probably. I don't know how I feel about that. It's kind of weird. I don't know why they introduced Ryan Choi in this crossover and why they made him a Paragon. He wasn't really special or anything. That's rude. That's Kevin. How could you not think that Kevin is special? He's a prophet. But I understand what you mean. Why couldn't Lex swap places with him? I know Superman is his enemy, but I wanted Superman Returns to be in this part. Fair enough. I understand. You want to see more of him, but also makes more sense that it was Superman. I don't accept that Lex is a paragon of truth. It's that easy to become a paragon. Why searching for paragons if they can just do that? They could even make the Reverse Flash the paragon of love. I mean, yeah, I guess. They could have just grabbed the book and wrote Barry, Sarah, Iris, Laurel, because she's the most important. Why was Laurel not in this more? That's what I want to know. I'm starting to think this show is Laurel-phobic. Alright. Not only were they asked to put Ezra in, it was also a last-minute addition. Okay. Mark Guggenheim, who was in charge of the crossover, said that they had already completed and wrapped Arrow, and they get a call from WB boss saying, I know you're locked, but can you put Ezra in the crossover? Oh, that is awesome. Do you reckon that's because Ezra Miller was like really excited about this idea and was like, hey, I want to be part of this? Maybe he heard through the grapevine that other cameos were there and he was like, I want to be part of this. This sounds like it's going to be fun. Do you reckon it was an executive decision? Whether they saw the hype for it? Or do you think it was Ezra Miller wanting to be part of it? I'm curious. He also gave an explanation as for why Reverse Flash wasn't in the crossover. I guess what it really comes down to is not being beholden to a headline from 6 years ago. And that was not written by any of the showrunners involved in the crossover. Yeah, Reverse Flash was even in the trailer for a second. Really? Okay. I still don't get how the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor got their powers and what happened after he created him. Why was the Anti-Monitor trapped in Central City? Who trapped him? In his cell, there were symbols, paragons, and so how come the Monitor never knew about the paragons? And the Anti-Monitor said that there are infinite monitors, so they can't stop his creation, but shouldn't there be an infinite monitors and anti-monitors then? All good questions. The reveal of Ezra Miller's Flash broke the internet, especially considering that the Snyder Cut hadn't been announced yet. By the time this crossover happened, everyone already knew about Kevin Conroy and Tom Welling's cameo. On the flip side, no one knew that Ezra and Lucifer would appear. Also, in the DCEU movies, they've yet to call Barry the Flash, which is why Ezra's Flash was so confused. I didn't know that they'd never called him the Flash before. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. Is it weird to get your name from another version of yourself? I don't know. But now, when the Snyder Cut has been released, I think a sign of Central City in the movie says Home of the Flash, but this was before Snyder Cut, you said. But I actually forget this cameo for a second and just realized it when I started to watch this reaction, and I got so excited to see the reaction to the cameo. She did not disappoint. Well, thank you. I was just excited. I was just expressing my thoughts. I don't know. Like, I honestly thought it was like someone was playing a fucking joke on me. I thought that they fucking just edited that shit in. Actually, the Lucifer cameo was spoiled beforehand by someone spotting him filming. Enough people knew about it that Tom Ellis actually had to lie in an interview. Why would he do that? He's not allowed to lie. He's always truthful. About not being in it to keep it a surprise. This is probably a stupid question, all the things considered, but if the Paragon crew was trapped in the Vanishing Point for months, how did they sustain themselves in all that time? Doesn't look like that place has ample supply of food or water. Maybe there was. I mean, the timekeepers lived there or something, right? Purgatory exists as a place that your soul goes after death. It's more of a spiritual concept, which might explain why it continues to exist even with the destruction of the multiverse. The multiverse may simply encompass all of physical reality, while purgatory and afterlife, heaven and hell, exist independently of the former. Interesting that here Oliver has become the newest host for Spectre after Jim Corrigan. In the comics, Hal Jordan, Oliver's best friend, sacrificed his life to redeem himself by saving the world and ended up becoming the Spectre. Jordan would go on to use his powers as the Spectre to assist Oliver, whom he had previously brought back to life. See, I don't know everything. I'm a comic fan. We know this, but I don't know everything. Interesting that the Monitor keeps referring to all of existence as creation, implying that there was a god in the Arrowverse, while in the MCU, Wong makes specific mention that the Big Bang when talking about the birth of the universe. Okay. But then, spiritually, this is not something that the MCU has especially touched upon besides all the magical stuff. I guess they just wanted to keep things PG-13, or maybe that's just a reflection of the beliefs of whomever happens to be steering the MCU or at any one time. Alright, fair enough. As cool as that Ezra Miller cameo was, and make no mistake, it was fucking cool, I have to question how that encounter between him and Arrowverse Barry was possible if the rest of the multiverse had already been decimated. I have to assume that Miller Barry must have escaped into the Speed Force when his universe was annihilated, which seems to be a reasonable explanation, to be fair. Maybe. It shouldn't have been possible, but TV Barry said him as much himself, so I guess it's just hand waved away. You know what this means, right? In the Snyderverse, or at least the movie universe, it's become canon that Ezra Miller Barry came up with the name The Flash after being unintentionally inspired by his Arrowverse counterpart, because when Arrowverse Barry mentioned that name, Miller Barry looked like he had no idea what he meant, and it makes sense because when you think about it, in the Justice League movie, Miller Barry was never referred to as the Flash. I didn't know that before this. I really thought that he was the Flash. But, alright. I'm going to talk about Crisis in relation to Endgame for a bit. Seems fair. They're both huge crossovers from rival companies that came in the same year. It can hardly be denied that Endgame had a lot of advantages over Crisis. It was better plotted and structured for one, I feel. But if there's an area that Crisis arguably had an edge over Endgame, it was ambition. Crisis was a story that encompassed an entire multiverse and took full advantage of that, at least as far as they could, which was still a lot, connecting stories and characters across multiple continuities and mediums. Endgame was definitely ambitious, make no mistake, but it only pushed it as far as it could within its own established universe, which is still fine. That way, everything was kept mostly consistent. But now, with the MCU expanding the multiverse territory, we may see a more ambition on a Crisis scale down the line. Especially with, like, Spider-Man No Way Home coming out soon. Sorry. And it may come sooner than we think. Or at least that's the hope. But Crisis will always be remembered by comic fans and as a trailblazer in this respect. You are a remarkable individual. Really, Novo? I mean, don't get me wrong. Choi Kevin, as you prefer, Shen, seems like a really cool guy, but you've just met the man and all he did was spout a bunch of moral platitudes that anyone who's read, seen, or heard any kind of fiction would have been told time and time again. The inevitability there is destiny. The Anti-Monitor might as well have looked straight into the camera and said, I am inevitable. Yeah, every time that he said the word inevitable, I was thinking about Thanos. And then right after that part, Oliver shows up with his pep talk monologue, but he should have just said, and I am someone else. Something else. I am the Hood. No, I'm kidding. He's the Green Arrow. I'm sorry, I have to laugh a bit at the final battle. They had all these dementor looking things that gave them so much trouble in the first episode. They actually killed Oliver. And at one point, the Anti-Monitor is supposed to be all-powerful, so those things should be even stronger. But we have Choi, Kevin, no powers, no training, no weapons, nada. Just swatting and punching away at them like nothing. Yeah. Yeah. And those so-called one-liners, that's for Oliver. If anyone's gonna take over the universe, it's gotta be me, Cringe City. At least Oliver had one last great zinger. You have failed this universe. Although it wasn't technically, it was the multiverse. Well, there's only one universe left. No, not at all. I don't know. Maybe. I know there wasn't actually a multiverse existing at that point, but it was still the multiverse that the Antimatter destroyed. But whatever. No, it would have been weird for you to expect them to... It wouldn't have been weird for you to expect them to say Canary power, Martian power, whatever, etc., because it had honestly become that cheesy. I remember when I saw a fan-made trailer for Crisis on YouTube. In this trailer, every DC movie and show character was in it, and I thought, whoa, imagine if they were really in this crossover, and they really put almost every DC universe character in this crossover. Also, in the trailer was Justice League Batman, and I was like, wouldn't it be so cool if they put that in... wouldn't it be so cool if he's in the crossover with that expensive cool Batman suit? But they'll never do that. And now they put Justice League Flash in the suit in this part. They just really surprised us all. I read this comment, like I skimmed over it earlier. And I was curious about this trailer. So I asked before I looked. And apparently, I was going to check it out, maybe watch it here, I don't know. Apparently it's got some Gotham spoilers in it, so there goes that idea out the window. But, yeah. Seriously, the parallels to Endgame never stop. While the rest of the heroes fight the army of faceless and nameless henchmen, the main hero, the one who started the entire franchise, squares down with the boss baddie. Obliterates him with a cool one-liner, after which the henchman army disappears and the characters who were the closest to the main hero are with him as he dies. Diggle was not there. He should have been. So, to be honest, Felicity should have been there. Honestly. While you're probably right about a lot of TV shows liking to kill their main characters off by the end of their run, I actually can't think of a ton of shows where they've done that. Then again, I probably just haven't seen many shows all the way from the beginning to the end. Plus, a lot of shows end up getting cancelled and never get a proper intended resolution to their characters. Just thinking about some of the shows you've seen, I'm not going to read the rest of that because I don't want to give away spoilers for those specific shows. That cameo shocked everyone. I still don't know how they managed to keep that cameo secret, given two others leaked pretty early on. Probably based on the fact that, it was added post. My biggest issue with the crossover is the vanishing point, because they say it's a place outside of time and space, but Part 2 introduced the fact there is a multiverse of legends and wave riders who have gone to the vanishing point. If there is a multiverse of legends, that would mean there is a multiverse of time masters as well, right? Would that mean that every universe's time masters gathered in the same place? Does that mean that they killed a multiverse worth of Time Masters then? When they blew up the Time Masters in season 1? Alright, I'm gonna skip the next comment because it talks about other shows and I don't want to spoil them. Look at you, still going strong, Fruits. You got this. 2 thumbs up. The cameos of Kevin Conroy and Tom Welling were widely reported beforehand, so plenty of people who followed the reports knew what to expect. Though, still a surprise if you wanted to avoid spoilers. Lucifer's cameo was rumoured by a whole bunch of folks in Vancouver, and was a discussion that was being had about whether or not it was true he was in crisis or not. However, Ezra's cameo caught everyone off guard. Nobody heard a peep about it, or a rumour about this. It was never reported. They managed to sneak him to Vancouver and film a quick shoot after they had already wrapped Crisis. The only people that knew was Mark Guggenheim, the producers, director of the episode of course, and Grant. Most of the actors found out the same time we did watching the actual episode. I wonder, like, if the actors and everything watched the Crisis event as it happened. Because I know a lot of TV show actors and stuff, they don't actually watch this stuff. And I understand that. I do. Because, you know, it can be hard rewatching yourself. I don't know. But I'm curious if they, you know, got together and did, like, a watch of this. They didn't even ask for Ezra, because according to Guggenheim, it was considered impossible. I mean, WBDC wouldn't even let them use Suicide Squad or Deathstroke anymore. No way they'd allow the movie Flash to share screen time with Grant. And yet they offered it to the Arrowverse producers, and of course they said yes. This was probably the biggest cameo because of the possibilities it has opened up, and just how out of left field it was. Rumor has it Grant Gustin is going to appear in the Flash movie. That'd be awesome. I've been waiting for this Flash movie for so fucking long. I am such a Flash fan. We know this. Why isn't it out yet? Why is it taking so long? I don't imagine that killing off the main characters in the end of the series is super rare, but I can't think of many shows that kill their main characters. Maybe I don't watch the type of shows that do that. With Oliver fighting the Anti-Monitor and the rest of them watching and focusing, it was like they were trying to fight the Anti-Monitor with the Care Bear stare. Oh my gosh, okay. We're almost done with the comments. We're still got to go through some questions. We're sitting pretty at an hour and 33 minutes. Is my throat hurting? Just a little. Alright. So this is Legends of Tomorrow, Season 5, Episode 00, which I don't think anyone in the maybe I haven't read all the comments yet. I do skim them sometimes. I don't think anyone told me why it was Episode 00. Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 5. I believe that I was told beforehand that this was supposed to be later on in the season, but what happened with that? I don't know. I'm curious about things. The guy who asked Barry and Kara's autograph was Marv Wolfman, who not only wrote the new Teen Titans comic that Teen Titans animated series was based on, but he also wrote the Crisis on Infinite Earths comics. Pretty cool. Not only did he write the Crisis on Infinite Earths comic, he also co-wrote the Arrow episode of the event with Mark Guggenheim. Alright. Yes, You were correct about COVID coming up because the next crossover was cancelled, postponed due to it. Oh. And it was supposed to be a 2 or 3 week crossover, but the plan was also thrown out. And a whole new crossover is now planned, but I'm not saying when or how long from this crossover because, you know, spoilers. It's kind of spoilery telling me that, but at least I have something to look forward to, I guess. Oh god. Alright, this is a long one. Here we go. I didn't really enjoy the fight. Everything they show a strong enemy like the Anti-Monitor or Saboteur. They do it in Marvel too though. They don't really use their power in the end. In part 3, he beat them all without touching them while he was controlling Lila. But in this part, he doesn't use any of his powers. Also, they could have done better fights, for example, Flash versus Anti-Monitor, just like Justice League Flash versus Superman, or X-Men Quicksilver and Apocalypse. Quicksilver and Apocalypse? Dude, he just beat him, just knocked him over. I was disappointed in that. Or include more people with powers like Constantine with magic, but instead have 3 people who were shooting at him and Sarah who was just looking at him. It was sad that we didn't get to see more of the Spectre versus Anti-Monitor in the last part because they were the 2 most powerful people we saw in the Arrowverse, but, well, the short fight between those 2 probably already took a lot of money. Superman mentioned in the first part that he has a dream or something that he has 2 sons and they live in Metropolis. The people saw Oliver only once as a hero in season 5 for a short time, so it's nice that the world finally sees him as a hero now. Yes, I agree. Everything from DC was in this crossover: Justice League, Flash, 90s Flash, 3 different Batman universes, Smallville, Superman Returns, Superman, Green Lantern universe, and more, and that's so awesome. Well, I don't think they had anything from Gotham, but maybe I missed it, because I haven't seen all of Gotham. I've only seen 1 episode, so there's that. You missed that. For me, it's the biggest and best DC crossover. And I really like that Oliver actually saved all of DC, and that's really cool for the end of his career. And now not the end of his career, you mean the end of his, like, series, because he's still working, guys. Stephen Amell's still working. And now this universe is really the Arrowverse. Yeah, that is true. That's interesting to think about, though. He birthed the universe, and, like, so it literally is his. Okay. What I learned from the animated movie Crisis on 2 Earths, Earth Prime is the main timeline, and the other Earths are like branches in this timeline. So it's nice that the Arrowverse got the name. Also in the animated movie, they said if you destroy Earth Prime, all the other Earths get destroyed too. I remember the movie. I liked the movie. Also, it's actually sad because they still lost infinite amount of people. Supergirl was sad that not everyone on her Earth survived, but now there are probably even fewer people who survived from her Earth because they merged to Earth 1. Oh, wow. Imagine the chaos that would create. I don't know. I don't know how it works, to be honest, actually. Would it be like the blip? I don't know. Supergirl's Earth and Black Lightning's Earth are now... and now many people probably got replaced. For example, we saw Earth 1 Alex in Elseworlds, but now she doesn't exist. So Alex from Supergirl Earth can exist. Hey, you don't know that. Maybe they do exist. Maybe. I would explain Gleek, but it probably won't make sense unless you watch the original Super Friends cartoon in the 80s. I can say that I was not watching that show in the 80s. I was probably... There were no plans for Shannon to be born, I'll tell you that. Just know it's a deep cut Easter egg that was supposed to turn into something more. There was supposed to be a reference to... there was also a reference to Gleek on Smallville one time with the Wonder Twins having him as a picture on their phone case. Claudia from Warehouse 13 being one of the Smallville Wonder Twins. Yes, I do recall that. There's a lot of reading for Shannon that's not very good at reading, but I love how much I'm learning. I love this conversation. This is great. Getting real hungry though. That Marv cameo at the start was a pretty big one that a lot of people miss because they don't really know him more of his work. But Marv Wolfman is basically the DC equivalent of Stan Lee. Wow, really? He's responsible for creating and co-creating Cyborg, Raven, Starfire, Deathstroke, Tim Drake, Rose Wilson, the Omega Man, as well as Marvel characters Nova, Black Cat, Blade, and Daredevil's nemesis Bullseye. Really? Some of the best comic book series runs for both DC and Marvel have been his work. Oh, wow! He's also the man who wrote the original Crisis on Infinite Earths comic. Diggle finding out about Oliver dying a second time destroyed me when this first aired. Also, the heresy of Sargon the Sorcerer using our Lord Bieber to rob a vault will never be forgiven. How dare that man? Oh, you know what I would love? I want to get a Bieber plush. Maybe I can put him here. I don't know. Do you guys like lighting? I don't know if I've asked yet. The Blue God has returned! All hail Bieber! I'm pretty sure that when Diggle was saying, I'm never letting my kid watch that show again, he was referring to some inverse kids show starring Bieber. I think so too, like how Elmo is from Sesame Street. Oh, okay. Fair enough. I thought it was the other way around, but okay. Mick Rory, part-time superhero, part-time romance novelist, part-time thieving, beer-chugging legend. Gotta say, it was cooler the way that Anti-Monitor was taken out last episode, duking it out with the hero who started it all, and one hell of a one-liner, just like Thanos, as opposed to this episode, where he was essentially taken out the same way Yellow Jacket was defeated in the first Ant-Man. Is that how he was taken out in Ant-Man? I don't remember, so long ago. All hail Weaver! I'm proud of you, Fruits. I'ma send you a husky gift for all this reading that you've done. You've deserved it. Pats on head. Okay. My throat is hurting. I personally feel overall this crossover was weak, cheesy, and at times poorly written. My favorite so far has been Crisis on Earth X. That being said, all the cameos made it worth multiple viewings. Once again, this is just my opinion, and for all of those people who enjoyed it, I'm really glad. Alright, this is our last comment, okay? And this person knows that it's long because they've apologized, alright? Sorry in advance for the long comment. I went on a bit of a rant about the crossover. I think overall this crossover is pretty carried by all the cameos. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed getting all of the cameos, but cameos alone don't make a crossover great. I enjoyed the crossover, but there were a few problems I had with the crossover that after clearing my head from all of the amazing cameos really brings down my opinion of the crossover. Just want to say thank you for like breaking it up, making it easier for me to read. Appreciate it. To start, there were some people I was expecting to pop up in the crossover that didn't. From the beginning of The Flash, the newspaper had been teasing Crisis, and one of the things in the newspaper talked about how the Flash vanishes in battle with the Reverse Flash. There was no sign of the Reverse Flash at all. That was disappointing. Fair enough. I wanted something similar to what we got when the Reverse Flash fought Flash, Green Arrow, and Firestorm at the end of The Flash Season 1, but on a grander scale. Wow, that was so long ago. At the end of the last crossover, also teased something about Psycho Pirate and Dr. Deegan, Dr. Destiny, but didn't do anything with it in this crossover. Yeah, you're right. What about that guy? The Deegan guy? What? What was the point in that? Okay. One of my biggest problems with the crossover was that you didn't have everyone fighting whenever possible. The crossover is dealing with the end of the multiverse, and the legends just don't feel like showing up. It goes along with one of the things I thought just didn't make sense with the last crossover. I understand that the Monitor wanted to test and challenge heroes and prepare them for Crisis, but his test for Earth 90 seemed to end with everyone but the Flash dying. With a threat this big, you should be having every capable hero of every Earth fighting the Crisis. Yep. If Earth 38 was where the Monitor planned for the heroes to make their stand, they should have been bringing all the heroes from multiple universes to help. Also, every hero we know should have been in all the episodes where they were still alive. Okay. I understand the reason none of this happened is that they have a much limited budget, but I wish they would have just found a way to make this happen. In Infinity War and Endgame, you didn't see Doctor Strange or Black Panther saying they didn't feel like trying to stop Thanos. The heroes brought in everyone they could, and most of them really didn't know Thanos was coming in advance. Yeah. Not fair. In the beginning of this season of The Flash, it was established when Crisis was going to happen. The Monitor should have been going around to all the heroes on different Earths and telling them that it would happen and preparing them, and not just gathering a handful of heroes. Could you imagine though, like them going to different Earths and seeing different heroes and then them just like vanishing? Like, could you imagine if we had gotten some of these cameos, just not just in the crossover, but in like this season of The Flash or this season of Arrow? Could have been pretty cool. Although, would it have like ruined like the big cameos, you know? Would it have ruined that because you're like, oh, you're expecting more and more, you know? Whereas, I don't know, whereas we weren't really expecting some of these cameos. On a side note, I actually thought that this was what Season 8 of Arrow was going to be. I thought the Monitor was going to be taking Oliver with him to different Earths to recruit heroes for Crisis. It would have been really cool. I know I mentioned this before, but I will say it again. I would have liked the Paragons to be from different Earths. I think it's ridiculous that they were mostly from Earth 2... I think it was ridiculous that they were mostly from 2 Earths, and it made it too easy to gather the Paragons. Imagine if some of the cameo characters hadn't just been cameos, but also paragons. We could have had Tom Welling's Superman or Kevin Conroy's Batman as paragons, and that would have been amazing. Yeah. I think this crossover could have benefited from more episodes, but I understand that couldn't happen easily. I think what would have helped would be to scrap the storyline from the first half of the season of all the shows and have them focus on Crisis, following Arrow's example. Each show could have been doing something to prepare for Crisis instead of waiting for it to happen and not being prepared to deal with it. I mean, that definitely would have made Supergirl Season 5 so far a little bit more bearable. I said it. They could have introduced the idea of paragons at the start of the season, and maybe each show spends some time looking for some specific paragon. Some good ideas. Going off the idea of them not being prepared, it also didn't feel like they did much to stop the end of the multiverse. In the first part, they defended the tower that was stopping the antimatter wave until it was too late. In the second part and the third part, they gather the paragons, but the multiverse still comes to an end. I already did this earlier, but I can't help but compare the crossover to Infinity War and Endgame. I know there is quite a big difference between the MCU films and CW shows, especially budget and quality of the story should have been comparable. But the quality of the story should have been comparable. Anyways, in Infinity War, the fight to protect the stones until Thanos wins. In this crossover, there was really only one fight to save the multiverse, and after Earth 38 was lost, they didn't really show the heroes fighting to stop the end of the multiverse. You've got some interesting thoughts here. I'm going to cut it off here because I keep going on forever. All in all, I think this crossover was enjoyable. A big part of it was because of the cameos, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite crossover. I think Crisis on Earth X is still my favorite crossover because it felt like a solid story. There aren't any parts that immediately come to mind that seem unnecessary. I didn't feel like it needed more of something. Most of the heroes are there for the final fight, and it felt like a real crossover. The episodes didn't feel like Flash episode of the crossover, then Arrow episode of the crossover, etc. I think that you have some very interesting thoughts and concepts there, which would have been interesting to see. Alright, well, those were all the comments for all the Crisis episodes. I'm now going to go over some questions that I was asked about the crossover. So, yes, I hope you guys are alright. There was 15 comments, I don't know. We're almost done, maybe, we'll see. Wow, we're clocking in at almost 2 hours. This is probably an obvious question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Are you upset or disappointed that Laurel was left out of this entire adventure? She wasn't left out of the whole thing. She had like one little cameo. But Tom Welling's cameo was actually... Oh my god. Tom Welling had more content than Laurel this crossover. How could you do this to me? I'm upset. Are you going to react to Stargirl? Yes, absolutely. So I believe that Stargirl begins the week after Arrow ends. So we've got episode 9 today of Arrow. The next week there's no Arrow. And then the following week is just Arrow. It's Arrow and apparently an Arrow special. So there's that. And then the following week after that is when we begin Stargirl. So that's something to look forward to. I'm very I'm looking forward to it. So just to clarify, the date of that would be the 26th of November. Which you can always see the schedule for things on the website. aftershowreactions.com/schedule. It's a fun place to be. Two things intrigued me about Crisis. There was really no reason to kill Bruce Wayne. It would have been more effective if he was trapped in his malfunctioning suit as Kate walked away. The other interesting thing is Sarah Lance emerged as the undisputed leader of the heroes. I guess. I think they killed Bruce to mostly display the difference in worlds. This was a completely different Batman than Kate knew. Plus, as heroes, they need to make evildoers accountable for their actions. Although it wasn't their intention to kill them, it was fitting that he died, in my opinion, because a Batman like that shouldn't exist. Although it didn't matter because that world would be destroyed anyway. I hope that they talk about this on Batwoman, about the fact that she's just killed somebody for the first time. Unintentionally, but still. What are your thoughts on Oliver's ending and the crossover? I personally feel like they didn't do him justice, considering he is the original hero of the universe. Also, how does this crossover rank for you compared to others? I mean, they do honor Oliver, because it is essentially the Arrowverse now. He did birth the universe, so there's that. But to have the Anti-Monitor just show up again in the next episode anyways, kind of defeats the purpose of what Oliver did, so. It's a little disappointing. I don't know. Arrow hasn't wrapped for me yet. I don't know the way that they're going to end the show, so I feel like I can't really answer that properly yet. Maybe. But so far, I'm a little disappointed. Also, ranking. I really like Crisis on Earth X. I think that had the most consistent storytelling. So storytelling wise, Crisis on Earth X comes first. Even though I hate Nazis and like the over-reliance of relying on Nazis as a villain is so irritating, but I think story-wise that was the best. Funniness-wise, I think Elseworlds was the funniest, but I can't help but feel like that was just like an entire setup crossover, because it set up Superman and Lois, right? Kind of. There was more setup here, I guess. And then, Batwoman, it set up Crisis. And the ending of Arrow, like, it was a very set-up-y crossover. But I think it was definitely the funniest. This is definitely the most fan... what's the word I'm looking for? I said it several times earlier. Fan servicey. So, I don't know. I don't know if I could rank them. There are other crossovers too, but they're a tier down no matter what. When I first watched this crossover, I wasn't a really big fan of it. I didn't actually find any of it good. That may have been because of Infinity War and Endgame, which I understand they're different and that's okay. I have nothing against this Crisis because of it. This time watching it, I think I enjoyed it a lot more than I originally did. But nevertheless, I'm going to complain. Sorry, I just think there was too many unneeded subplots, like finding Superman's baby in the year 2046, Back to the Future, Flash on the treadmill, Pariah, and more. Sorry if you enjoyed them. Okay. And I really hated how they handled Oliver. They kill him off screen and by some stupid one-hit acolyte in the first part, brought him back in the second part, found his soul in the third part, became the Spectre and saved the multiverse in the fourth part. I just think it was really rushed and not needed, and really not thought about. I feel like they should have spent the Arrow episodes working their way up to Oliver becoming the Spectre and then kill him, and not kill him until the final part. I wasn't a big fan of the Paragons. I understand why they were needed, but in the second part they were trying to find them. Then in the end, two of them weren't even important. Bat from the Future and Superman. And then in part 3, they were just like, you're a Paragon, you're a Paragon, you're a Paragon. I feel like they should have perhaps found Paragons working their way up to Crisis. Okay. The next thing is a little nitpick. I understand they can't have every actor in every episode, but I wish they gave a reasoning for it. I mean, Sarah literally said the Legends aren't coming because they promised... Okay, I read that before. I guess you wrote the same thing. My last problem is the Anti-Monitor. I didn't care for him. I don't find him threatening at all. We hardly see him, and he is very easily defeated. I agree. The best villains are the ones that you can sympathize with, that are built up, that are actually fleshed out characters, and the Anti-Monitor was not. And they completely made him a joke in the final part, which just makes the previous 4 parts more of a joke. But I think the main thing I really don't like is that the doorway to the Anti-Monitor's prison was in a sewer, in a highly populated city, on a highly populated world, which literally anyone can find. After all, it was the simple password to open the door. Well, to be fair, the only way they opened the door was with Allegra. With Allegra's power showing, I don't know what part to smash. Something, I don't know. I mean, so many deaths could have been avoided, and I understood correctly that the Monitor literally teleported the 90s Flash into the Anti-Monitor's prison, which is why he destroyed Earth 2. I'm just saying everything could have been avoided so easily. I just feel sorry for Nash Wells. None of it was his fault, and I hate everyone blames him. It was the Monitor's fault. And I just found the battles to be really cheesy and stupid. I know I'm complaining a lot, but people are probably going to be happy with what we have. But I'm sorry, I can't. Sorry. I stand by what I said. I just feel like they put more time into fan service than the actual story. No offense to those who enjoyed it, but if you enjoyed it, good for you. Look, it's fair. Like, if you think that it's not up to your standards and you personally didn't enjoy it, that's fine. You're allowed to like what you like. And I agree with some of those points. Like, the story wasn't great. Did I love it though? I loved it. I loved it. I did. But the story was a mess. I mostly agree with you. I think it's carried by some crazy cameos that had my jaw on the floor, but overall, it's not even close to good. I could say the cameos came first, and then they tried to throw a story around them. Perhaps. I enjoyed the crossover and cameos. Could use some story. Could some of the story been better? Sure, but overall, still good. One thing I do think that could have helped would have been, instead of just having the black smoke monsters, I think it would have been better to have the Anti-Monitor teleport in some villains from the past for each of the heroes, and maybe even some villains that haven't shown up before. But we would still recognize them. Maybe some from other worlds in the past and films, like they did, since they did that with heroes and side characters. Could be interesting. Having the Reverse Flash, maybe Malcolm. Sarah would probably have Damien Dark. Kara, it would have been cool to have Rain for Kara. You know. Maybe Lex had to fight Brandon Routh Superman. I don't know. Just some thoughts. I don't know. Then the heroes could have fought actual people, and it would have been fun to see those fights. Plus, maybe have some of the side team heroes fighting the smoke monster while the main heroes fight the villains. Also, how much cooler would Oliver's death have been if everyone else got transported away by the black smoke monsters? Come at him, he puffs them away, and then all the villains are shown as smoke clears, and Oliver just fights them until he can't anymore. Maybe. That would have been way better. I guess they couldn't because of the budget or something, but even having one villain and Oliver dying from them and not having the smoke monsters would have been better. Clearly the WB were excited about this, right? Because they offered Ezra Miller. Couldn't they have just squeezed out some more money? Come on. Reverse Flash should have been there too. I know they didn't want to be locked down by the original article, but I think it would have been better if they had dropped some of the original scenes that weren't needed in favor of the villain cameos. It would have been cool to have the battle in the street with Hawkgirl, etc., like the article said, instead of the treadmill. Also, a dream wish that would have never happened for me would have been Tom Welling still having his powers and suiting up as Superman, and having all three of them fight side by side in their suits. Maybe even adding a Dean Cain in suits too. I really wish Tom wasn't so against wearing the suit. Also, having Michael Rosenbaum show up would have been cool. I do think maybe some of the disdain for the suit could have to do with the Superman curse, with the fact that all the Superman actors died. Maybe Tom doesn't want to could be superstitious about it. Maybe not. I could be wrong entirely. At least I hear Tom and Michael are working on the Smallville cartoon. I heard about that. Though I do wonder if it's going to be post-season 10 or post-Crisis, or whether or not season 11 comics will be canon. I wonder if they're just going to do a during the series thing. I can't help but feel like that's what they would do. I mean, that's fine, but it's kind of lame if that's the case. I'm holding out hope though. What were some of your favorite character team-ups we had during the crossover? Ones we don't really see that often, but the characters had really great convos and chemistry with one another. Mine was Jefferson and Barry and Sarah and Barry. I really loved Jefferson and Barry. I thought they were great. I really loved Kara and Kate. Really, really loved them. Yeah, those are the two that stand out to me. Oliver became the Spectre, the creator of the multiverse. Thoughts about that? It's nice that he is officially the creator of the Arrowverse. Otherwise, I don't know. That's, I don't know. Few quick things. Rosenbaum was asked to be in the crossover, but he turned them down. He gave an explanation somewhere, I think on his podcast. Yep, I believe I read that already. When Oliver died in the first episode, you were confused and didn't believe it. When it first aired, 90% of the fans were pissed. Mostly because he died in Supergirl, not Arrow. I was upset too. After a while, I came around on it though. I really appreciate what they were able to do. They managed to get a lot of the major points from the comic while changing it enough that it was unexpected. They had a ton of cameos and had a lot of good moments. There was a quote from someone who worked on it saying we had to make Endgame with Endgame's catering budget. And I think they did a good job for what they had to work with. So my questions for you are, what was your favourite cameo, excluding the obvious one? Kevin, Ezra, Ruth's Batman, or Tom Ellis? I don't know. I think the most shocking one was Ezra. But I think the one that warmed my heart the best was Lucifer. Because, again, recently finished the show. It was nice to see him again. Where would you rate this crossover with all the others? I answered this very earlier on. I can't really rate them. Did you catch the Super Friends reference at the end of Gleek? No, but it was explained by somebody. What do you think of the Justice League lineup? Is there anyone else you would want to see in it besides Laurel? Laurel got robbed. Black Canary for Justice League. Those are hashtags, by the way. And I didn't make them. I would have loved to have seen Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, just like any of the big ones, I guess. But mostly Laurel. Are you going to react to Superman and Lois? Absolutely, when the time comes. For those of you who don't know, there are occasionally breaks. But if you do not include my like random breaks that I will just like take a week off or something like that, I should be starting Superman and Lois on the 8th of April 2022 here on Patreon. It'll probably be like 2025 when it hits fucking YouTube, I'm telling you. But yeah. What are your top 3 favorite cameos? Tom Welling, Tom Ellis, Ezra Miller. Which cameos did you find most surprising? All 3 of those. Who do you wish would have made a cameo on the crossover but didn't? Michael Rosenbaum. Who else? Laurel. Who else? Harley Quinn somehow. Margot Robbie. I don't know. If there was one thing you could add to the crossover, what would it be? More Laurel. More Tom Welling. Do you have any predictions for what will happen in the last 2 episodes of Arrow? I have no fucking idea. Like, I literally have no idea. Do you think the crossover had enough Laurel in it? No. Clearly not. We need more Laurel. Alright, and with that, that's the end of all the comments and questions and everything. This has been a fucking long-ass video. Let me know if you guys watched the entire thing. I'm curious who I'm making this for, if people are actually going to watch this. I've really enjoyed this whole experience. This is definitely something different to what we usually do. And yeah, this whole crossover was so fucking cool. And I'm glad I got to experience it with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to go eat dinner, and then I'm going to get some recording done for this week's Arrowverse. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next one.